How are you?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Thanks so much for asking. So it's hard for, I think, some Canadian and American audiences to understand what a big deal it is to get a role like this. But I even know, as someone who didn't grow up watching the show, I was aware of the discourse about who the new Doctor is going to be. So what went through your mind when you actually got the role?
Um. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Um. It was. Do you know what? It wasn't something that I could like figure out in my head immediately. My agent called me and told me that I got the role. My mouth dropped, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm just about to get my hair cut. I've got so much washing to do at home. I can't deal with this huge concept that you're just about to put into my head." So I needed a couple of days just to like become okay with that meta concept. It
You,
was
you
huge.
you didn't think you were going to get it. Why not?
No, just because I mean, it's a hugely iconic role and it's such an institution in the UK. Um, And so I don't know. I just felt like it was something beyond my reach. I loved the audition and loved prepping for the audition and loved the role obviously as well, like as most British people do. But because of that notion, because of it being such an institution, it just seemed like a out of this world, lol, pardon the pun,
Still got
concept.
it. Still got it. Paint me a picture of a young you watching Doctor Who as a teenager.
As a teenager, well, yeah, we had the reboot in 2005, I think it was, the Christopher Eccleston coming back. And it was just huge in the UK. It was like, it was the number one show. It was all anyone spoke about week to week. And then David Tennant took it over and it exploded even more. And so I just knew of it as being something that everyone loved in the UK and it being something that people like the age generations above me knew about and loved as well. It just was this huge thing.
Were you watching it? Were you watching it on TV?
So I was a fan of it and liked it, but it wasn't something that I followed avidly until I asked to be in it. And then I thought I might as well just brush up my Doctor Who knowledge here.
What was surprising to you when you decided to brush up on it that maybe you didn't realize about Doctor Who before?
How sick of a show it is.
What do you mean?
Just how sick it is. It's just such an amazing show. I can't believe I've been sleeping on this for so long. Like, it's just so heartwarming. And then it's also everything as well. Like I just loved how it changed from week to week. You're facing, it's a thriller one week, then it's a horror, then it's a comedy, it just encapsulated everything. And I thought, there's just not a show like this on TV. And I can't believe I haven't been more invested in it. So yeah, I just loved it.
To go to the sort of the subtext of the plot, I've heard you talk a little bit about how Doctor Who made you feel very welcome as an outsider to Doctor Who, or just as an outsider. Can you tell me a little bit more what you mean by that?
I mean, it's just such a heartwarming show, and I found it to be in like my preparation week for my audition. I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. and then watch it until the evening time. And I didn't even realize how much I was like consuming because it's such escapism. I felt like I entered the I felt like I entered the TV and
Yeah.
traveled off with the Doctor on these adventures and forgot about everything else around me. It just felt like such escapism, in the most adventurous, heartwarming, cool way. And so yeah, and also the Doctor as a character in himself, like he's one that like leads with compassion and fights with compassion, and that just felt like such a draw, like a heartwarming draw. It's very refreshing as well because a lot of shows can be very doom and gloom, and we love that as well. We gravitate towards that, but there was something special and unique about this like hopeful, positive show that deals with all the dark stuff and tragedy as well, but like it's just got this joy running through its veins that just really drew me in.
I think I understand what you mean. I mean, there's a lot made in in the news and in the media and on the internet of you being the first Black queer doctor. And if I'm understanding you correctly, rather than it be, and you've talked a lot about how the importance of representation, rather than being a sad or serious or doom and gloom opportunity to tell a story like that, it's an opportunity to be inclusive, to be warm. Am I right about that?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And like I say, like it goes through everything. I mean, it's sci-fi. It's sci-fi. It's extraterrestrial. It's supernatural as well. We're dealing with darkness and tragedy, and the universe is in peril once a week. So it goes through all the dark stuff, but like it also is just so silly and fun and lovely as well, and and so I just think it's really refreshing to have that. And also, I mean, it's inclusive of everyone. There's a lot of there's I know it speaks to a lot of people that feel marginalized, but I also and that's beautiful. But I think for anyone that feels I think anyone you're able to watch the show and anyone is able to be like, do you know what? I would like to hop into that TARDIS with that mad scientist and pop to Mars, have a little adventure on Mars. Why not?
Why not? You're
Why
the
not?
you're the 15th Doctor, and I heard that Russell T Davies, the showrunner for Doctor Who, it really gave you a free rein to make your mark on this character, which is something that I'm assuming was on your mind when you step into a character with a lot of history. Do you remember? Was there a conversation where he kind of told you that?
That I would have free reign
Yeah,
over the character.
to feel free to make it your own, not to feel beholden to the tradition of the character.
No, no, there wasn't a specific conversation, but I guess I always knew from the moment I had the scripts handed to me and we were discussing costume, and I came in with a very like traditional heritage vibe. And they were like, that's cool for like one thing. We want different costumes once a week and we want to push it in this direction, in this direction. I knew that there was an energy of like progression for this new era, and Russell really wanted to push the show into the here and now. Um, but in terms of characterizing the Doctor, that conversation never really happened, which caused me a lot of confusion throughout shooting season one. I've every day I had so much anxiety. I was like, we need to reshoot it. I had such a clear cut image of like if there was a correct way to play the Doctor, and I wondered very anxiously every day whether I was hitting that. And Russell was always like, this is great. Like to go this, do you? Um, and so that felt very lovely.
Yeah,
Felt nice.
I no, but I understand it that you would feel this sort of like, am I doing this right given the history of this thing, given the people who, and when you're not getting notes, you're like, is someone just not telling me that I'm not doing it right? But it actually means you're making it your own.
Hopefully I've done that. It
Yeah.
was, it's legacy that you're contending with, and
Yeah.
so you want to respect that and honor that.
I,
But also, it's very fun.
It's very fun. I heard about the sonic. So the sonic screwdriver. So for people who don't know, is in Doctor Who is this sort of catch-all device that you can kind of do anything with. It can help you out of a jam, the Doctor out of a jam. I heard that there was something like there was a proverb engraved on the sonic screwdriver. Am I right about that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh God! And the day they told me that, they told me so nonchalantly, and I was like, what? Someone came and asked whether I wanted to meet the maker of the Sonic, the creator of the Sonic, and I was like, yeah. And went and met him, this lovely, really, really unassuming guy, and he was just like talking me through it. And then he was like, oh yeah, by the way, on the back here, these are Gallifreyan symbols that translate into a Rwandan proverb. The sharpness of the tongue defeats the sharpness of the warrior. So here you go. And it was he told me so like as if he was telling me his like grocery shop order. And I was like, that's lovely. That's so nice. That's so cool as well. So yeah, the Sonic is engraved with a little nod to my heritage. And also that proverb as well feels very doctory as well. It's just great how they both work with each other, because the Doctor is a hero that fights with his brain and his knowledge and compassion. Every so often he does get angry, but most of the time he's like in his gentle era.
And I love it that it's in the Doctor language, even though it's something sort of personal to you, and as you mentioned, a little nod to you and your family and your life. It's like the two little worlds coming together. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah, very, very beautiful.
This is a Canadian show, by the way, so I need to mention that I heard this story that that you found out, or you were like around the time that you found out that you were the Doctor. It happened when you were on the set of Barbie, the Greta Gerwig version of Barbie, and London, Ontario's own Ryan Gosling comes and talks to you and congratulates you. Is that right? What happens there?
That is correct. Yeah. So I was announced on the 8th of May 2022, and it was a BAFTA day as well. And yeah, I was shooting Barbie during that time. It was a Sunday that was announced, back in work, working in Barbie land on the Monday. And I was just like at my train, and everyone was so lovely when I went in. People were like being very kind. And then I was in between takes at one point. I was just sat at my trailer at one point, and Ryan is like leaving the studio. He's just finished the take, and he comes up to me, and we start talking about Doctor Who, and he congratulates me on getting the role, and then proceeds to tell me that he's a fan of the show, and has been since Matt Smith, and he really liked the Matt Smith era, and yeah, it was the most surreal conversation I'd ever had in my life.
He's very unknowable, isn't he? I never would have thought Doctor Who for him. He's very unknowable.
He's a mystery that we love to figure out. I love that man.
He is much. The TARDIS. The Oscars was amazing. Can you tell me something about what it was like to perform the I'm Just Ken at the Oscars?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was the most fun ever. It was so much fun. Madness, mayhem, a pink fever dream. I was shooting Doctor Who, and like was shooting it right up until I had to rush off to get my flight, and so like, slaying a monster in the morning and then popping off to get my flight. And it was mad. We had like 3 rehearsals together, and then we were on the stage, and it was just absolute madness. The choreography was changing from the moment we started rehearsals up until like maybe an hour before we actually did the show. The madness of live TV. But it was so nice to see the other Kens and to see Ryan again and to celebrate that film. My little bit of choreography just at the start of the dance was right in front of Greta and Margot. And so I felt like their own personal Chippendale. That's how I describe that experience. I felt like their own stripper, and I was very happy with that. But yeah, no, it was just for Ryan to bring us out and to celebrate with him was just so. It speaks to his character so much.
I'm just glad you were able to. I think I would be doing it, and I'd be like, oh my God, that's Emma Stone, or like I'd be doing like, oh my God, that's like.
No, I was. It was terrifying. It was terrifying, but also. I was in pink, and it was so much fun.
I mentioned a little bit about your story when I was introducing you there. It strikes me that this is such a positive, happy time for you. I mean, to be cast as the Doctor in like this big international news story that you even get cast as the Doctor, and now Disney has Doctor Who now, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger in your time in Barbie. And, I was thinking about that when I was introducing you, because I was talking a little bit about the early days when you were I know you were sleeping on friends' couches and you didn't necessarily have a home to go to. My question is about when you're going through a good time like now, is it useful to block out that it was that hard? or is it useful to remember that it was that hard?
No, that's the fuel that drives me.
Tell me.
Stay booked and busy.
Tell me.
Oh, yeah. When you don't know where your next meal is coming from, you remember that feeling, and it inspires you to keep booking more jobs. No, I mean, it's all very well, for me to sit here in my lovely shirt and be speaking to you and say,
It is a lovely shirt, by the way.
it was the hard times are what fueled me. But the hard times are hard times, and artists, actors all over know that story of like not knowing where your next meal is coming from, or perhaps you don't have parents that can afford to support you. Yeah, I mean, it makes the good times even sweeter.
I think you're right. There's sort of a newspaper headline version of what you're telling me, which is like going through the hard times makes the sweet, sweet success at the dinner table much, much sweeter, Tom. If you were a 1930s newsman. But the reality is that it does, but it was actually still awful and hard and not fun to think about.
No, yeah. I mean, for me, I still wake up and like check my bank balance, or I check if there's food in my fridge, and it's, but I mean, yeah. I also think that it like has, I guess, informed my perspective as well as an actor. There's things to draw on, I guess. Not to like lean too much into the tortured artist trope.
Please look at this beard. Tortured artist it up, man. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's all the seasoning of life.
Well, congratulations on the show. I hope you're able to leave your phone in your pocket on Friday and not be checking all the.
It's going to be on airplane mode.
Good.
And in a drawer away from me.
Congratulations on the show, and lovely to get a chance to talk to you. Thank you so much.
And you as well. Take care. Lovely to speak to you.